And we are live. Happy afternoon, folks. I'm so excited to be here this afternoon with Sarah DeLuca, who is a philanthropy and money coach. And we used to work together as client and coach. And today we're going to talk about her kick-ass business and all the things that she has been doing and did beforehand to be incredibly successful. I mean, this woman is seriously kicking some ass. And not everybody's able to do it as quickly and effectively as she has. So I'm really excited to have you here, Sarah, so we can mine you for some secrets.
Thank you. Happy to do this. It doesn't feel like it was quick. It felt like I was in the weeds for so long, but it's good to hear that, generally speaking, it was actually a short amount of time.
Yeah. Well, just some context for folks. Sarah's been in business for less than a year and emailed me in, I think, December to say that she had her first profitable month, which was like less than 6 months since you launched, right?
Yeah, I launched officially in August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. So just so folks who are tuning in know what we're talking about, can you tell us a little bit about your business and what you're up to?
Yeah, totally. So Noelle said, I'm a philanthropy and money coach. So I help people with wealth and class privilege to really figure out how to create structure and plans around the money that they're giving away to social change organizations. And then also really embrace their unique role in the movements and how they're in relationship with the movements and organizations that they're supporting. Yeah.
Cool. So like what, for people who maybe like aren't as nerdy about social justice as you and I are, how does let's say you meet somebody, they've already been doing philanthropy for a while, they love giving, who are you helping them redirect their money to?
Yeah, and it really depends on the person, and it's a good question to ask about like what is the social justice aspect of it. And to me, it's directing people to start thinking about big picture, long-term giving. There's such an immediate need for direct service, especially with the inequality that exists today. But really thinking about the systemic issues and the root causes of some of those problems and how to support organizations for the long term and not just sort of like rapid response to a gut reaction to something. And also talking to people about issues around race, around gender, around just the power dynamics that philanthropy brings into the world, which is a whole thing we could talk about for a whole other hour. I'm sure even more about just what it means to be a donor to an organization and how to do so in community rather than just like the haves and the have-nots sort of relationship.
And what is it that you love about this? Like, what is, this has become your mission. What's in it for you? What do you get out of it?
I come from the world of nonprofits, and I realized pretty early in my nonprofit career that I love talking about money, which it turns out is kind of rare. But I love talking to people about money as a form of activism, as a way to make change in the world and a tool that they have to do so. And it doesn't have to be scary. I'm not saying that it's not scary sometimes, but to really like own that power and think about how moving money to something is it can be an act of resistance. It can be just a really powerful way to be a part of the world that you want to see happen. So that's my favorite thing, is just talking to people about what they want to accomplish in the world, and helping them get that vision within the social justice framework as well.
I think it's so great just because, I'm sure you've seen this in your work, but even in my practice, so many people are like, since the 2016 election, like I've just wanted to switch things up. I've wanted to do more. I've wanted to like really feel like I'm contributing to our collective liberation. And so I just love that you're helping folks do that.
Yeah, I think it was a turning point for a lot of people. And it happened to coincide with me switching careers, and being in that sort of in-between place was right around the 2016 election. So I was thinking about it a lot and being like, okay, how do I work with these folks that are saying like, oh my God, I just need to throw money at the ACLU and Planned Parenthood and whatever it is right now. And still needing to do that too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, but I love that you're helping people like really align their giving with their vision.
Hmm.
It's really beautiful. But yeah, maybe can you share a little bit about sort of where you were at when we connected?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking back to what my world was like before Noel. Um and before launching this business. So as I said, I was working in nonprofits for a while and was between jobs, knew I wanted to do something in the world of philanthropy and talking to people about money and social change stuff. And I was looking for jobs, I was applying for jobs, and looking back on it, I probably wasn't as invested in applying for jobs as I could have been. My heart really wasn't in it. And I kept on thinking, like, what, like, could I do this by myself? Could I do this on my own? What would consulting look like? What would it mean to coach people and work with the people on like a paid basis and not just a lot of this networking that I was doing. So I was doing a ton of networking. I was like coffee meetings all the time with people. I was working part-time at a yoga studio, which was a nice little income in the time being. But I really just wanted to get to figure out, okay, if I'm going to work for myself for real and not just like think about this in the back of my mind, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're willing to share, because I think it'll resonate with some folks who are watching this, are you willing to share a little bit about what you were afraid of that you hadn't
Mm,
taken the leap by
yeah.
the time we met?
Oh my gosh. I definitely had that like anxiety and imposter syndrome of like, I can't, ask people for money to do something like this. And I don't have the skills. I haven't worked in philanthropy before. I haven't, no one's ever paid me to coach them before. How would I ever do that? I don't know. Who am I to say that I know what is best and what they should be doing? And um, yeah, that was super scary. And just putting myself out there like that. Um, and I also felt like I had to do it on my own. And
Mm-hmm.
that I had to figure this out for myself, and that like going into business for myself meant that I have to do this all myself. And I'm the only one who can do anything. And looking back, it's like, hell no. Of course, I'm not going to do it all myself or know how to do everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because, I mean, I thought that when I started my coaching business. I think a lot of people think that early on,
Mhm.
right? It's like this is America. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You figure out the things.
Yes.
Yeah, and so what? Given that that's where you were coming from and that's where you were at for a while, like what inspired you to seek out a coach?
Yeah. So in one of the coffee meetings that I was having, I had lunch actually with a friend of mine, Corinne, who was also, I think she was also in the job search at the time, and we were sort of commiserating about that and what we both wanted to be doing, and just regular life things. And she was like, if you're thinking about coaching, you should talk to my friend Noelle. She's my coach. She does all this stuff. She's got social justice stuff. And then I looked you up on Facebook and realized that you were connected to a bunch of people I already knew, and was like, oh. And after reading some of your things, I was like, yeah. And I think I sent you like a completely rambly email of like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I think I want to start my own business, but I don't know how or why or what that means. So can you help? And it was just like, I need to figure this out. And I think for me, it was like, I probably could have figured it out eventually, but having a coach helped me figure it out and get to this place faster.
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I know you hired a business coach after we stopped
Mhm.
working together. So clearly you see the value of coaching.
Yeah.
So what would you say you achieved out of our work together that you might not have been able to do otherwise or not on the same timeline?
Yeah. Um, I think it was all of the like internal stuff, like the emotional blocks that I had about things, like the fact that I was afraid to ask people for money to provide services to them. And then when we talked about it and being like, oh, wait, it's just like fundraising, which is what I've been doing for the past decade. Like, oh, I do know how to do this. And so just really giving me some of the tools. And I think we had maybe 75% of our coaching sessions were about monkey mind, and all of the like voices in my brain that were telling me, no, don't do this. No, you can't do this. Oh my God, run, flee, go hide under a rock. And so being able to just articulate that to you and have someone as like a sounding board to say like, yes, okay, acknowledge it. And we can also move forward and we don't have to get stuck here. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing for me. And that, and also I would say just setting goals. And like, I'm a very structured person. I'm a Capricorn and very driven, but having someone where I'm setting goals with them and they're holding me accountable to those goals along the way, and helping me when I struggle, that has been, it's like a great manager, cheerleader, coach. It's like all of that in one.
Yeah, I've been thinking I should get some pom-poms just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's awesome, Sarah. And when as you were working through those blocks, as you called them, like what kinds of things did that allow you to achieve, or like what were some of the goals that you scored?
First, just like putting myself out there, like sending out an email, like pulling together a list of the people that I've been networking with and business connections that I've made, and sending out an email and being like, I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm going to run this workshop and you should come and pay me to get this information and go through this process with me, and get clients out of that, which has been fabulous, which was the goal. So just to put myself out there and be confident in doing so, which definitely took me a while of like practicing and, a lot of tears and fear about that. But yeah, so just having the confidence to go out there and put myself out there and make mistakes and be visible on social media, which I avoid often. So still working on more of that. Yeah. And just continuing to use the networking that I was doing and realizing how valuable that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about that? Because that's something that's always impressed me about you is your penchant for networking. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I suspect that sort of foundation that you had been building for a while in terms of building your network is part of why you had, your first profitable month so quickly. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. So I had been doing a couple, I was like, I think I went to like 4 conferences in 12 months over a period, and was just like connecting with people, talking with them, sometimes like not really articulating what it is that I do, but wanting to learn about what they do. And just building some of those connections. From that, I started a relationship with a foundation that I'm now consulting with. All of my clients right now are people that have come through word of mouth, have come through in-person networking. So yeah, down the road, I need to figure out how to expand beyond that, but that in-person connection has been so valuable in building those relationships and getting people to know me for me. And then being like, yeah, I want to work with you, or I think I have somebody that wants to work with you. That's really been super valuable. And I still prioritize that in my weeks to make sure that I'm out there, I'm going to events and connecting with people and seeing people face to face so that they remember me and think of me and know who I am and what I do. And now I'm a lot better at articulating who I am and what I do because of coaching and just the confidence building of growing the business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is so great. And are there other things that that you think have really contributed to your success? Like when you look back, you're like, oh yeah, I'm proud of myself for doing that, or I'm glad that I had that in place.
Yeah. asking for what I'm worth, like asking for what I need. Um, I remember you and I had a big conversation about, what would be like the most, like what would be the most amount that you could ask somebody for, and just figuring out like what my rates are and being like, actually, yeah, that would make me really happy. And when I've asked for that and people say yes, and aren't like shocked and running away from it, it's like, yeah, okay, that's awesome. So that has been really, really cool. And yeah, also just thinking about it as it to do consulting and coaching work. You have taught me a lot about how to balance life and work, and making sure you take time for self-care, and take time for my family and my other priorities in life. And it's like, yeah, take the afternoon off and go to yoga if that's what I need, you know, whatever it is, and try and make sure that I have that balance, and that time when I'm in yoga or out for a walk somewhere, I'm still like thinking about the business, but I'm able to take that break and take that moment for myself and my own well-being.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Sarah, because I think it's so important.
Yeah.
And it can be challenging when we're just starting something, like we can feel like, oh, I have to work on it all the time.
Yeah.
But I love that you see that taking a walk is still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving yourself space to think.
Yeah, definitely. And I try to set limitations of like my evenings or my weekends where I'm not responding to emails for the most part. There are some times, but really just setting those barriers for myself so I'm not just going into the work mode all the time.
So good.
I
Makes
think
me so
everyone
happy to
can
hear
use,
that.
whether you're working for somebody or somebody or working for yourself.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I see, I see that some folks have are watching and some folks have joined us. So I just want to say, if you're watching and you have any questions for Sarah, or myself, feel free to put a comment under the video so we can address them. And then, yeah, I was curious, because I think that I tend to think that running a social justice oriented business is a little bit different than running other kinds of businesses, because you have to think about things like, because people who are in our community have different perceptions about money and time and what's important. And so I'm just curious, like, do you think that's true? And if so, like, are there certain considerations that you've made or things that you've been thinking about?
Yeah. And as someone that coaches people on money, I realize that I also have my own issues around money. So that's just been really clear and honest for myself of knowing that, because I do have sort of anti-capitalist tendencies, but I'm a business owner too, and I need to make money to sustain the life that I have and to give away a bunch of money too, which is a priority of mine. Um, and so part of the coaching group that I'm in now, one of the things that a lot of folks are working on is getting to a 6-figure income, getting to that level of income for your consulting or coaching or entrepreneur business. And there's a part of me that's like, no, I don't want to make that much money. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to like get greedy and need to earn all of that money. But at the same time, it's like, well, there's a couple things that play into that. There's my own class privilege where I don't need to be making that much money because I don't need to be the breadwinner of my family, or the only person bringing in income for my family. But and then also it's like, well, what do I want to be making to sustain my life and be able to give money away and grow my business and help people, and really having that, like, my personal vision of social justice and what I want to do in the world be the driver for things, but also how am I helping people and how am I building this? So maybe in a couple of years it'll be that much, but right now it's more like I want to make like half of that and I'd be super happy. So yeah, it's tricky to to think about that, but also just remembering that like everyone's got their money issues, whether you talk about it all the time or you don't. We still have that.
Yeah, and I know that that's something that you are really looking at working on with yourself, so that you can support your clients with their own, money is evil, anti-capitalist sentiments.
Yeah. Or just like, I inherited a bunch of money, I want to give it away all at once. And it's like, okay, great, let's talk about that. And let's talk about how to do that in a way that's not just like panic, throw it out in the world, but be thoughtful and strategic about where you want to make that impact, whether you realize or whether you want to own that power or not. But how do you do so in a way that makes sense?
Yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about the money piece. I think a lot of another thing that a lot of folks don't think about when they start a business is how much you want to invest in your own business. Because if you're making six figures as a solo entrepreneur, it's not like you're working at a corporation making six figures. Like you might be investing more than half of that back in the business. It's different. It really is a different story. So I'm curious, like sort of given where you're at now, the clients that you have now, the workshops that you've done, Sarah, what's next for you? What are you excited about?
What is next? For me, it's building up my coaching clientele. It's building up the folks that I'm working with on a monthly basis, to really help them with the process along the way of talking about their money, about relationships, and how money plays into relationships. I know it's something that you and I have talked a bunch about, of like, how does money play into a relationship with a partner, but also with family, and how you're talking about your giving with any of these folks, whether they are part of the conversation or sometimes not at all. But it's money gets weird. So talking about it, you add more people to the mix, it gets even weirder. And so, just started continuing to build some of those relationships and help people along that journey and see where they can go with that. So building up that, and also just building my presence beyond just the folks that I know from face-to-face conversations, and building more clientele outside of the Boston area would be cool. But I mean, I can continue just working here if I get enough clients right here. So yeah.
Right on. And a bunch of folks just joined us. So welcome, Kathy, Carrie, Karen, Christiana. So nice to have you. And what advice would you give other folks who are watching this, Sarah, who like they have a dream on their heart and they're scared? Like what would you say to them?
I would say just keep sort of nurturing that dream, keep thinking about it. You can write about it, you can meditate on it, talk to people about it, talk to other entrepreneurs. That's another thing of having a coach, and brought me into the whole world of coaching. And now I have all of these connections of other people that are coaches, that are business leaders in their own right. And just getting to know that we all have the same struggles and the same questions, and are going through the same crap. So it's really nice to have that network of people, since actually my own group of friends, my like regular core group of friends aren't that. So it's nice to have that set of people that I can go to when I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And it's like, oh yeah, you've been through this. You know what this is like. Here are some tips and tricks and support along the way. So find your people, and find a coach. And yes, you need to invest in your business before you ever start seeing money from it. But it's worth it. And a lot of the work is really internal before you can get to that external piece, especially for women. Gosh.
Yeah, say more about that.
I don't know. Sometimes when I get in a space of like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, and I feel this like sense of imposter syndrome, or I don't want to put myself out there. I don't know. Sometimes I think like, hey, what would like an old white man do? He would just do it and wouldn't question it. Like, why is it that I have that struggle? But so many times guys tend to be the ones who are like, no, I don't have all the answers, but I'm just going to do it anyway and allow myself to make mistakes. And I struggle with that personally, and I know a lot of women do as well. So yeah, that's something that I just have learned as well, is being in a group and a network of women entrepreneurs. It's a whole great level of support and friendships, and us all dealing with similar anxieties and aspirations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So theme of this video seems to be find your community, get support.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, is there anything that I didn't ask you, Sarah, that you would love to talk about or share?
I'm trying to think if there's any comments or questions that folks have. I wasn't able to pull them up. Technology and I are not working right now. We've got the camera, we're good. No, I'm so grateful, Noelle, for all of your support in getting me sort of launched out into the world and out there talking to people and being so confident in my business and letting me and helping me believe that I can figure this out and I can do this. I hope other people are inspired to do it as well, because we need more badass women leaders out there making it happen. So yeah, so grateful for you and all that you do, and I hope that that more people do it as well.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for that. Thanks for taking the time today. If folks are interested in learning more about your philanthropy and money coaching services, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
I will add a link into the comments as soon as I can get over there. I'll do that. I'll put a link in there so you can sign up for my email list and connect with me about your money anxieties, your philanthropy, whether you're giving away $50 or $5 million a year, whatever it is. I'm happy to chat with you more about how to do so thoughtfully and strategically.
Great. And I can say Sarah has a great email list that sometimes includes pictures of her really cute dog. So definitely sign up.
Yeah, I try to throw in a couple pictures of my dog.
It's a great marketing strategy. I should start doing the same.
Good, I'll keep doing
that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Sarah. And folks, this video is going to stay up on Facebook. I'll be sharing it out through other channels as well. And if you have any questions for either of us, feel free to reach out to me. I can always connect you with Sarah if for some reason you aren't able to connect with her directly. But thank you, Sarah. Thanks all. Have a wonderful Monday, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.